Turbo Conquering Mega Eagle. How you doing, folks? So I've been slowly working through my the process of mass producing both leather sheaths and little miniature parangs for retail, and I think I've crossed most of the obstacles off the box now. The last thing I'm working on is how I'm going to treat the leather, because I'm buying natural veg tan, and it's very if it gets wet it will turn into a bit of damp rag basically, you know, and also leather won't last very long if it's not protected with anything. And the other thing is that, you know, being natural veg tan, it's in an incredibly soft state, so it will mark really easily. So I want something really quick, something that's going to offer good protection, and something that's cheap as well, I suppose, so I can sell these at a reasonable price. And what I'm looking at now is treating it with liquid wax. So that was just treated that end with paraffin wax, no, beeswax, this one, and this end is just as it comes, natural, very pliable. It's stiffened it up a little bit with the wax on it, but you know, this is probably the best, as close to a waterproofing as you can get with wax. You know, a lot of people say that you just can't waterproof leather because it's just not possible, really. So this is as good as it's going to get, isn't it? I mean, this is sort of self-healing as well, wax, isn't it? Like, it will fix itself if you crack it and that. But either way, so basically, the quickest thing I can think of doing is just dunking this entire sheath in liquid wax. So I've got an old fish smoker. I don't think it's even been used, real shame, but not a fish smoker, a fish poacher. So you can sit water in the bottom, leave the fish on that little tray, and it will just poach the fish off nicely. But I'm going to turn this into a wax vat. Yeah, I'm going to wrap a heating element around it, temperature control it, so I'll have a probe stuck in here, fill the whole lot up with wax, and then I've got a good shaped trough of wax in order to treat all my sheaths in. Yeah, and it should be nice and quick, and also give them excellent protection. It looks a lot better as well. You know, I like that patina personally. It should be a little bit more consistent without the patchy bits when I've dunked the whole thing. If you submerge the whole lot, it'll come out an even colour. So excellent, ticks all the boxes, and all it really needs is a bit of heat and a lot of liquid wax. So that's what we're going to do, turn this into a wax vat. Okay, I've got my my little wax vat set up. Inkbird temperature controller. Yeah, I just my last video I did, I made a little smoker with a generic, Chinese. It cost me £3 to buy the cheap Chinese temperature controller. It's such a massive difference. This Inkbird one, this is a tenner, but this was bought from a UK seller. So if I got it straight from China, it would have been a lot cheaper. But it's a lot. The buttons are nice, they click and that, and it comes with an instruction manual, which is probably the best thing about it, whereas the other one didn't. But it's a much nicer thing. It's just made beautifully compared with that Chinese thing. Yeah. So either way, I need to get my my wax sorted out. I'm not just going to put wax in here, because like, if you do the just put wax on the leather, if you submerge it in hot wax, it's great, and it's going to make it last a lot longer. But it does get awfully hard, and then it'll crack. So I'm going to stick a little bit of linseed oil. I'm just going to start off with half a pint, and then see what effect that has on the leather. I'm only going to know that by trial and error, I suppose. Let me get this off. This lid's all messed up on here. That'll do. Pop this off. I'm stabbing myself in the hand. Hey, I've got some eucalyptus. It's not just eucalyptus oil. It's yeah, it looks like half a pint. I don't want too much, because I'll basically end up just with dubbing then, and it will need reapplying. This, I want to do something a bit harder, a bit more waterproof. I'd like to use beeswax to keep it all natural, but it's so expensive. Paraffin wax is a lot cheaper, and unfortunately, rather than just buying paraffin wax granules, it's even cheaper just to buy a bloody candle. Right? That's how silly it is. I've got 6 of these big candles for £4.50 in it, so there's no way I can buy. I'll just have to fish the wicks out when it's melted. It feels a bit silly just dumping that in, but it ended up being about a quarter of the price buying the candles than it would have been to buy the granulated wax. A bit silly. I'm going to stick all of these in here. Back in a minute. Okay, the last ingredient I'm going to put in here is or I've already stuck quite a bit in, like lemon eucalyptus. It's a bit like citronella. It smells like a mix between citronella and eucalyptus, funnily enough, isn't it? It smells quite nice, but the main point of putting this on leather is it's like it's an oil, so it's it won't do the leather any harm. It's a natural oil. It's good for the leather. Leather needs oil, but also it's an insect and rodent repellent. Yeah, so it will stop anything nibbling on your sheath, and maybe even stop things nibbling on you, which is good. If anyone's ever messed around with horse tack and that, saddles and whatnot, you'll know the saddle soap and that is a really distinctive this, I think it's this stuff that they put in the saddle soap to stop things messing with the leather. It smells like eucalyptus anyway, but it's a lovely smell on the saddles. It is as well. I'm sure they put other things in there, but it's nice. We'll just carry on sticking some of that in, so it's got plenty there. I think I have already put half a bottle in. I'm going to stop now. Yeah, I'm just doing this for demonstrational purposes. I'll stop. Yeah, this is me stopping, lads. Yeah, stopped. Yeah. It's taking a little while to melt, but nice and slow. That's the name of the game of this stuff, isn't it? Otherwise we'll end up with a fireball or something, won't we? Okay, well, it's nearly all melted. This is taking a long old time, but the main thing is with this, I don't want to be cooking anything off. I don't want any vapours coming off it, because that means I'm heating it up too quickly. Because both both the wax and the linseed oil, and probably the other one as well. They can all be burnt. Either way, this is a bit dirty now. This is just one of the prototype sheaves that have been knocking around the workshop for a little bit. I've given it a wipe off, but I just want to see what happens when I stick it in here. I want to know if it gets stuck together in here, you know. And also it's a good test of the thingy bob. I'm going to give it 20 seconds to start with. Okay, so it's all worked very nicely. This is dried overnight, and it's dried overnight. Yeah, I left a weight on it because these sheets had a tendency of sort of you know, just staying like that when the blade was in there. But I left a weight on it. The leather gets quite pliable when it's got the hot wax in it, and then it, you know, as it cools down, it stiffens up. But you know, I'm glad I put the amount of linseed oil in there. I might actually put a tiny bit more linseed oil in there, or I'd probably put close to a pint of linseed oil in 5 or 6 pints of wax. So 1 to 6 maybe. I don't know, something like that. Linseed oil to wax. Either way, so it's not at all floppy anymore, and it's you know, giving it a bit of colour as well, which is nice. You can't really leave it in that pale colour. There's a nice finish on it. I like it, and it's very quick. Yeah, I'm probably going to play around and throw this in water. I don't really know what to expect, but you know, it should have tremendous water resistance compared with most other leather treatments for natural veg tan, which can get a bit floppy if you don't treat it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. It's, you know, I don't know how relevant this is to anyone else, but I'm sure you can apply these principles to a, you know, great number of different tools and bits and bobs that you might want around the shed. Anyway, take care folks, bye bye.